There's a version of you that earns significantly less than you do right now, and that version of you was not your financial problem. Think about that for a second. Most people spend the better part of their 30s trying to get to a number, a salary, a title, a level of income where finally the math just works. And then they get there, they hit the number, and somehow nothing is resolved. Because here's what nobody tells you when you're in your 40s, staring at a paycheck that looks nothing like the broke version of yourself would have believed. Your salary is not the main variable anymore. The decisions you make in this decade, specific, structural, often invisible decisions, will do more to determine whether you retire with freedom or retire with regret than any raise, any promotion, any career move you could possibly make right now. And the most dangerous part? Most of the people making the wrong decisions in their 40s believe they are being responsible. We are trained from very early on to think about money as an income problem. Work harder, earn more, move up. The logic is simple and it feels morally clean. You get out what you put in. And for most of your 20s and early 30s, that framing is basically accurate. When your income is modest and your expenses are fixed, the lever that matters most really is your earning capacity. Get better. Get paid more, build momentum. So by the time you arrive in your 40s, you've been running that program for 2 full decades. Income is the metric. Income is the scoreboard. If the financial picture isn't right, the solution must be more income. The problem is that this logic doesn't just stop working in your 40s. It actively misleads you. It points you toward the wrong dial while the dials that actually matter are spinning quietly in the background. And what makes this so hard to see is that your salary in your 40s is probably the highest it's ever been. You feel like you're winning the income game, which is exactly why you miss what's actually happening. Let's go through the decisions, the specific ones that either compound powerfully in your favor or quietly hollow out everything you've built. Decision 1. Lifestyle inflation is not a reward, it's a tax. When you were younger, a raise felt like progress, and it was. But somewhere around your late 30s, lifestyle growth stopped being progress and started being a structural commitment. The new car, the bigger house, the private school, the travel that feels reasonable at your income level. Each of these isn't just a spending decision, it's a baseline reset. And baselines don't come back down easily. Here's the mechanism most people miss. Every permanent increase to your cost of living doesn't just cost you the dollar amount. It costs you the compounding potential of that dollar for the next 25 years. The math is brutal and silent. Someone who earns $200,000 and spends $185,000 is not doing well financially. They are one crisis away from collapse and 1 decade from a brutal retirement reckoning. Someone who earns $140,000 and holds their lifestyle at $100,000 is building actual wealth, quietly, without a single raise. The replacement belief. Your living standard in your 40s is not a reward for your career. It is a contract with your future self. Read it carefully before you sign it. Decision 2. Your home is not your retirement plan. This is perhaps the most emotionally loaded financial belief in the English-speaking world. You own property. The value has climbed. You feel wealthy. And yet net worth sitting in illiquid home equity doesn't pay your bills in retirement. It doesn't generate income. It doesn't give you flexibility. It's a long-term bet on a single asset in a single geography, and it requires either a sale, a reverse mortgage, or a dramatic downsize to access, all of which come with enormous friction, tax implications, and life disruption. Meanwhile, for decades, people in their 40s have over-prioritized extra mortgage payments and under-contributed to tax-advantaged accounts. It feels responsible to pay down debt. It feels virtuous. But if your mortgage rate is 3.5% and your investment account historically returns 8 to 10%, the mathematics of that decision are not in your favor. The housing market over the past few years added a new wrinkle. Millions of homeowners are sitting on significant paper gains, which has made this illusion even more seductive. But illiquid gains don't compound, they sit. The replacement belief. Home equity is a component of net worth, not a substitute for it. Your goal is a diversified wealth base, not a spectacular single asset. Decision 3. Your 40s are your peak earnings window, and most people spend them coasting. There's a specific kind of career complacency that sets in around 42 or 43. You're good at what you do. You've been doing it for a long time. The work is familiar. The money is fine. And so the instinct is to stabilize. Protect what you have. Don't risk the position or the salary by going after something uncomfortable. But here's the actuarial reality. Your 40s represent the highest expected earning years of your professional life. For most people, real wage growth begins to plateau and then actually decline in their early 50s. The income trajectory bends downward, which means the window to maximize your contribution base, the foundation that compounds everything, is narrower than you think. A career move that feels risky at 44 can have a 20-year tail. A promotion pursued aggressively at 46 can change the trajectory of what you're able to save for the next decade. The opportunity cost of coasting is not just the foregone salary. It's the foregone compounding on every dollar you didn't earn and didn't invest. At the same time, burnout is real, and the solution isn't pure aggression. But settling has a price tag that most people don't compute. The replacement belief. Your 40s are not a time to protect what you've built. They are a time to build at the highest rate your career will ever allow you to build. Decision 4. The tax decisions you make right now will haunt you for decades. Most people in their 40s are in their highest marginal tax brackets of their entire lives, and most of them are not thinking clearly about what that means. Maxing your pre-tax retirement accounts when you're in a high bracket is not just good behavior. It is one of the most powerful arbitrage moves available to ordinary people in the modern tax code. Every dollar you defer now is a dollar that doesn't get taxed at 32 or 37% today, and that grows tax-free until you access it in a lower bracket in retirement. But the decisions go further. The 40s are when Roth conversion strategies start to matter for some households. They're when the structure of your portfolio, what's in taxable versus tax-advantaged accounts, starts to create massive divergence in outcomes. They're when capital gains management, charitable giving strategies, and health savings account stacking become meaningfully valuable. These are not exotic strategies. They're available to most working professionals. But they require intentionality, and intentionality requires someone who isn't just winging it. The conversation most 40-somethings are having with a financial professional is, am I saving enough? The conversation they should be having is, how do I structure what I'm saving so that taxes take the smallest possible share over the next 30 years? The replacement belief. In your 40s, tax optimization is not an afterthought. It is a core investment strategy. And the spread between doing it well and not doing it at all can be hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Decision 5. Your risk tolerance is miscalibrated, probably in the wrong direction. Here's the uncomfortable truth about how most people in their 40s actually behave with their investment portfolios. They become more conservative right when they should still be aggressive. The mental math feels intuitive. You have less time. You can't afford losses. Pull back, de-risk. But the retirement horizon for someone in their early 40s is still 25 years away. A 44-year-old who goes conservative will live through multiple full market cycles before they ever touch that money. And historically, every significant period of conservative de-risking in someone's 40s has meant missing the recovery and the compounding on the upside. The financial industry has, somewhat perversely, made this worse with target date funds that assume you need a conservative portfolio the moment you hit 50, regardless of your actual financial situation, health, or flexibility. Meanwhile, some people in their 40s are taking the opposite mistake: concentrated risk in their own company's stock or speculative positions that represent wishful thinking rather than strategy. The replacement belief. Your 40s require calibrated risk, not conservative risk. The question is not how to avoid loss. It is how to ensure your portfolio is positioned to do the work you actually need it to do over a 25-year horizon. Decision 6. The hidden wealth destroyers are not in any spreadsheet. There are financial threats in your 40s that no income level can automatically protect you from, and that few people discuss openly. Divorce is one of them. The median age at divorce in the United States is now 42 for men and 40 for women. The financial consequence of a split during peak earning years, asset division, legal costs, two separate households, the disruption to retirement savings, is severe and lasting for most people. I'm not making a moral argument. I'm making a mathematical one. The structure of your partnership, the financial conversations happening inside your marriage, and the alignment around money and future goals are not soft topics. They are risk management. Health is another. A serious diagnosis in your mid-40s that pulls you partially or fully out of the workforce for 2 years does not just cost you 2 years of income. It costs you 2 years of compounding, employer contributions, HSA accumulation, and career momentum at the moment your career was approaching its peak. Disability insurance remains one of the most underutilized financial tools among high-income earners. Long-term care planning is another conversation most people avoid until it's too late to structure well. The replacement belief. Protecting your earning capacity is as important as growing it. The most sophisticated financial plans collapse under events they didn't account for. The Bureau of Labor Statistics wage data consistently shows median real wages peaking in the 45 to 54 demographic before declining. Federal Reserve data shows that households in their 40s have the widest spread in net worth outcomes, meaning the decisions made in this decade create more divergence between wealth and wealth adjacent than any other life stage. Vanguard's annual participant behavior data shows that investors who made portfolio changes in response to market volatility consistently underperformed those who held their allocation, and that the likelihood of making emotional changes actually increases when people feel like they can't afford to lose. The research on lifestyle inflation and hedonic adaptation is equally clear. Higher spending doesn't produce proportionally higher life satisfaction after basic needs are met, but it does produce proportionally higher financial fragility. Picture someone we'll call Marcus, 47 years old, partner at a mid-size firm, earns $320,000 a year. He's been at that level for about 4 years. His kids are in private school. He has a great house in a neighborhood his income justifies. He maxes his 401k because he's responsible. He has a financial advisor who sends him quarterly statements. On paper, Marcus is doing well. In reality, he is also carrying a $1.1 million mortgage on a house he doesn't need to be in for 8 more years, spending $14,000 annually on a car that depreciates every month, running a household cost structure that requires his income to stay exactly where it is or above, forever. He's never looked at his effective tax rate. He doesn't know what's in his 401k beyond diversified. His financial advisor calls twice a year. Marcus thinks his financial problem is that he should probably be earning more. His actual financial problem is that he is optimized for comfort and signal, not for the compounding infrastructure that will give him options in his late 50s. And he has perhaps 8 to 10 years left to change the trajectory before the math becomes genuinely difficult. He is not a cautionary tale. He's the statistical center of gravity for educated, high-earning people in their 40s. And none of his problems have anything to do with his salary. Here's the worldview that comes out of all of this. Your income in your 40s is, for most people, high enough. It is high enough that if it were paired with disciplined decision-making, spending that doesn't match or exceed it, tax-efficient structures, career investment rather than career coasting, and actual risk management, the outcome 20 years from now would be genuinely different. Your income is not the problem. The decisions that occur inside your income are the problem. And this matters because one path is about chasing a number, grinding for a next raise, a better title, a windfall that maybe arrives and maybe doesn't. The other path is about controlling the variables you already control. You already have the raw material. The question is what you're building with it. Here's the thing about your 40s that nobody says plainly enough. This is probably the last decade where the decisions you make have enough runway behind them to genuinely compound. A structural change at 45 has 20 years of compounding ahead of it. The same change at 55 has 10. The math doesn't lie. The urgency isn't panic, it's arithmetic. Most people will read or hear something like this and feel a version of one of two things. Either, this isn't about me, I'm on track. Or, this is exactly about me, and I've been telling myself I'll deal with it. If you're in the first group, the question worth sitting with is whether on track is a feeling or a number, because those two things are not the same thing. If you're in the second group, the discomfort you feel right now is actually information. It's not evidence that the situation is unfixable. It's evidence that you know something needs to change before the window closes. The salary will change, markets will change, the economy will change. The one thing you can control, starting today, is the quality of the decisions you make inside whatever circumstances you're in. That turns out to be enough. For most people, it always was.